He continues to dodge questions on how much money he personally has stashed away offshore while avoiding the taxes he imposes on Canadians.
I can't believe what's in the news here today. It's just every day it gets even crazier. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today we have the city of Kamloops being claimed by First Nations. That's how dumb our country is now. We have more aftermath of the EV industry in Canada. We have a Liberal admitting that they know where criminals are in Canada, but they're not arresting them. We got a bunch of stuff here. Let's jump into this. Starting this one off, we got this story here, why the St. Thomas battery plant has a $400 million water problem. EV battery plant would require half of the current municipal water system capacity. Officials say the massive electric vehicle battery plant under construction near St. Thomas will require $400 million in upgrades to the local water system, a cost the municipal water supplier says can't be covered without help from the Ontario government, Volkswagen, or a massive increase to the taxpayers. They don't think any of this stuff through. It says here the plant would consume 91 million liters of treated Lake Erie water provided every day by the local water system. Environmental protection plans are clearly not done equally when it comes to so-called green economy. Yeah, no kidding. Got this one from Barbara Ball. It says Liberals confirm they courted MP for years before he quit the Conservatives. So Chris D'Entremont, they have been courting this guy for years. Dirty tactics. I wouldn't expect anything less from Liberals. And the truth has come out. Rick Perkins, a good friend of Chris D'Entremont, said that last week he told Rick that he was worried that if there was an election, he would lose his seat. And what did he do? He jumped over to the Liberals to save his own job. He threw all of his constituents under the bus to save his own job. This guy deserves to be on the Liberals. He is a rat. We got Tiff Macklin here in the hot seat in committee, stating that Canada will not be the fastest growing in the G7. As you can see from Mark Carney's tweet, I have a plan that will build the fastest growing economy in the G7.
He promised that Canada would have the fastest growing economy in the G7.
Very modest growth. Second half of this year, averaging only 0.75%. We do expect it to pick up, but as I indicated in my remarks, this is a structural adjustment, and so that's going to take some time. So yes, I don't have all the G7 forecasts in front of me, but we're not going to be the fastest growing economy in the G7.
Ouch, that dagger comes from one of his own. Mark Carney used to work with Tiff Macklin. Tiff just sticking it here straight. He's not going to lie on the record.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to inform the minister that Canada has the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. I'd like to inform the minister that with this prime minister, it's been all about concessions. Back down on their DST, back down on softwood lumber, back down on auto. They've backed down on investments, and they've backed down when our workers needed them to stand up to Donald Trump, like the Prime Minister said that he would.
Got Franco Terrazzano with this one. The government invests $24,500 studying gender equity and bicycles. Because who cares about Canadians sleeping in tents or their cars? $24,596. Cycling towards change, advancing mobility justice. Gender equity and sustainable development through bicycles. Oh, this is some dumb stuff. Woke equals funding. This should be criminal what they're doing here. It really should. We got Conservative Frank Caputo here saying that the minister cannot keep his story straight on the 32,000 fugitives from our border officials. There are warrants for these people. If the government knows where they are, why aren't they arresting and deporting these people? If the government doesn't know where they are, then why do they say they do? Gary admits it. They know where these people are.
You have addresses for 32,000 people for whom there are warrants? Okay, Minister, the natural question is, if you have addresses for them, why aren't they being arrested right now?
Mr. Caputo, for questions like this, you do need to give me some time to answer these questions, right? So if I could elaborate, yes, we do have addressed this. They may not be accurate. The veracity of that is up to the CBSA, and they're working to expedite the removals. As I've indicated in the past, we're on target to remove over 20,000 people this year.
So that should give Canadians great confidence that 12,000 people will be left.
Yeah, it should give Canadians confidence. 12,000 criminals still running around rampant in our country. We don't know if their addresses are right or not, so, it's really quite shocking that someone can fail this badly and be in this position in our country. Moving ahead, Mark Nixon posting this. Leaders of the world's biggest polluters are no-shows as heads of state gather for UN C-word summit. So as Mark's pointing out here, Canada, representing 1.5% of total emissions, is going full tilt on net zero as outlined in the newest budget. That is getting debunked pretty seriously here. We had Bill Gates come out just last week saying that there is no C-word emergency. But as Mark points out here, by the time Canadians realize the scam here, Carney will already be a billionaire and retired, and we'll be screwed. We'll be left with all this debt. They're saddling us with a bunch of debt to make money off of it. They're bringing in investors to pump their own funds, roll out the carbon credit system, get rich off of it. They're not trying to govern. People try to argue back and forth whether Mark Carney is a blue liberal. Where is he politically? He's not politically anything. This is just a grift to make money. He's basically the Brookfield CEO of Canada. Moving ahead with this bombshell, we have the Kamloops Nation have formally claimed rights to Kamloops, BC. The entire city. Just, that's our land, that's our city, those are all our properties, that's ours now. But the Sitwit Assembly, which represents 8 First Nations, including Ashcroft and Boston Bar, is also seeking rights to it. As Table Salt says, what a clown show rodeo. Now, something else interesting to note, what's this in the picture here? Highland Mine Valley expansion caught in conflicting First Nation title claims. Now, if you're a regular on the channel, you'd already recognize those big 3 domes, because I just covered it down here. This is the Teck Resources. See, there's the same 3 domes. Carney pressured Anglo American to relocate headquarters to Canada as a condition of proving the proposed $53 billion acquisition of Teck. It's that area. And it appears this First Nation claim is to prevent that mine expansion, because prosperity, we don't want that in Canada. This really is a clown show. So multiple First Nations thinks Kamloops is their town, all the land is theirs.
There are growing calls for clarity and transparency for British Columbians around all notices of civil claim filed against the province by First Nations claiming title. Keith Baldry joins us with more on this. Keith, this has become a big issue, particularly over areas that include private property.
Yeah, ever since the Cowichan decision blew up, literally, this has been in the news and raising concerns about what else is flying below the radar here. Is that the only case? Today, independent MLA Eleanor Sturko releasing another civil claim, this one involving Interior First Nations, that's claiming the entire city of Kamloops, other municipalities, the Sun Peaks ski resort, all in a bid to stop the expansion of the Ajax mine. Here's Eleanor Sturko saying it's incumbent upon the government to find out what else is flying under the radar out there. And Minister responsible, Spencer Chandra Herbert, says the government is opposing this claim and is insisting private property rights must be upheld.
We've got independent MLA calls for transparency from NDP on Aboriginal title claims. You know, this wouldn't go anywhere if we had a real government here in British Columbia. Unfortunately, we have an activist in David Eby running the place here. She points out an ongoing notice of civil claim case that this First Nations for Kamloops. She says that the case seeks Aboriginal title over the entire city and other areas. There could be hundreds of similar claims that have been filed, but we don't know because the government has so far refused to notify property owners. There's a bunch of these claims. I believe this one goes back to 2015, and we don't know about any of them. Now, because of Cowichan using some old map and stories of a grandmother picking blackberries near the river, and we're able to convince a judge to destabilize our entire economy, giving over land to the Cowichan, now everything's destabilizing. They had the opportunity in the Cowichan case, and they're filled with excuses, but they didn't know why they didn't do that. But the reality is there are nothing legally preventing them from letting property owners know. They don't want people revolting. That's why Sturko said that the property owners deserve to know if their land is affected. Yeah, no kidding. I think what we're seeing is the public is waking up to the reality that there are multiple claims have been filed against the province and assert Aboriginal title over areas of BC, where not only Crown land exists, but private property exists. This is adding a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. What's dumb about this is in First Nations lore, how they are raised, they don't own property. They can't own property, but now they want to steal all the land and own it to make money. This is a big grift. Historically, they don't own land at all. That's not the way of life for them. But now, since it's convenient and a lot of money's involved, well, cash is king. BC Premier David Eby admits the province's role in navigating the court's ruling. The responsibility sits on the government, not on private property owners. The government can't pay these people out. There's too much. It'll bankrupt all of us. It's going to be taxpayer money.
The government needs to do more to engage with the public so that they understand the possibility of what consequences could exist from this type of litigation. First Nations have the right to bring forward these claims and to file these claims of title, but the government has a responsibility to ensure the people who it is mandated to serve are well informed of the situation and have an opportunity, if possible, to participate in that litigation.
The province is clear. Private property in any case in this province, it's our view that it needs to be protected, and it's our view that we stand up for it. We're doing that in the Cowichan case, and we'll
No, you're not. These NDP losers are not doing anything but enabling this.
Do that in every case. Well, we also fulfill our obligations to acknowledge rights and title for Indigenous nations and work to do both.
Keith, I'm sure the Kamloops court action is a bit of a surprise to a lot of people. How long has that been going on?
Yeah, here's another parallel to the Cowichan situation, Chris. Cowichan one dates back as far as 2014. This one today, unearthed by Eleanor Sturko, dates back almost 10 years to 2016. So again, the question is, how many other claims are similar to this that are circulating around the justice system, and how many other municipalities may be involved, and how many, if any, private landholders are going to be involved?
No doubt. We need those answers sooner rather than later. Keith, thank you.
This is going to destroy British Columbia, and this is going to spread across Canada. Other areas, Quebec also doesn't have same treaties as much of the middle parts of Canada does. And we've already seen this Chief White Duck trying to steal 20, 30, 40 billion dollars of land out in Quebec. It's all greed. We've got Table Salt posting this map here. Native stakeholders literally already have all your property staked out and divided up. Each of the colored areas is a land claim. They're coming to steal everyone's land. And as I showed in a previous video, there's a band down here that's partially in America that also wants some of our land. American tribe wanting Canadian land. So I was able to find the source here. You can see these little dots are the only places with treaties. So downtown Victoria, Nanaimo, and up at the top of the island, Vancouver Island. As we see, there's claims all across Canada. So you can see the treaty land area. These areas won't have problems. Huge swaths over in Quebec as well. And then there's this peace and friendship treaty. I don't know if that'll hold either. Jumping over to the House of Commons, I want to point out something very interesting here. So Pierre Poilievre isn't here today, but Mark Carney is. And it's almost like Carney knew that Poilievre wasn't going to be there, so then he decided to show up. So what's happening here is Pierre Poilievre is speaking at the Quebec Chamber of Commerce right now.
C'est pas une coïncidence que depuis
Carney rarely shows up to the House of Commons on a Thursday or a Friday. It's been at least a month, so clearly he's terrified of Pierre Poilievre. He stormed out in the middle of a Wednesday session, the historical sessions where the Prime Minister is supposed to be there the whole time, at least when Justin Trudeau ran that for 10 years.
6 months ago, the Prime Minister promised Canadians that he'd get the deficit under control, that he'd lower our debt and lower inflation. Instead, he's blown an $80 billion hole in the budget. The debt is climbing, inflation is climbing, and he's added $90 billion in new spending. That's over $5,000 for every family. Every dollar that the Prime Minister spends costs Canadians in higher taxes, higher inflation, and more expensive debt. With this budget, Canadians are paying champagne prices for tap water results. So why is he asking them to pay more?
Mr. Speaker, I'll refer to the previous comments of the honourable member from Winnipeg North. This budget is about building this great country. And what this budget shows is that with the $1 trillion of investment that we are going to catalyze, we are going to put more than $3,000 in the pocket of every Canadian by the end of this decade.
What a dumb response. She just showed how the deficit is going to run $5,000 per person. Now, after a handful of years, Canadians will have $3,000 of economic benefit per person.
They're borrowing from it. This Prime Minister is on track to be the most expensive in Canada's history. The only ones cashing in on it are bankers. Interest payments on the national debt will cost Canadians $55 billion this year. That's more than this government spends on healthcare and more than it collects in GST. Every dollar that Canadians pay in GST doesn't go to doctors or nurses or hospitals. It goes to bankers. So why is the Prime Minister so determined to make sure that bankers get better care than patients?
I'm glad she brought that up. It's the bankers. This is what Carney's doing. He's going to make the bankers rich. They spend on everything, and the bankers make money on the back end. Now, they're not going to do this without them making money. How all this ties together, I'm not sure. But Trudeau is doing it. Carney's doing it. Their spending is not helping Canada. So it's clear they're doing this for a reason. They want to bankrupt Canada because it's a wealth transfer.
Mr. Speaker, this budget preserves the health transfer to the provinces over $29 billion. This budget puts $5 billion into health infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, this budget has the lowest net debt to GDP in the G7. It has the lowest.
There it is. He was going to say debt to GDP, and he's a net debt
deficit projected, and the cost of interest borrowing is lower than when the Conservatives were in government.
talks about measures to help young Canadians buying houses. Turns out it's only 4.8% of Canadians it'll help. The other 95.2% are screwed. Everything these guys do is for themselves.
The minister's $80 billion deficit will cost each Canadian household $5,400 while avoiding the tax pain he imposes on Canadians. Coming from the guy that set up a $30 billion offshore tax havens for Brookfield when he was chair. He continues to dodge questions on how much money he personally has stashed away offshore while avoiding the taxes he imposes on Canadians. Will he stand up today and tell Canadians how much money he has in offshore tax havens? Just the number.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this budget tightens tax fairness. Mr. Speaker, this budget cuts taxes for 22 million. This budget.
He got a little bit of the duper's delight there every time. Look at it again.
This budget cuts taxes on new homes for young Canadians starting out. This budget cuts the carbon tax. This budget grows this great country. Come with us and support it.
This budget cuts the carbon tax, then increases the carbon tax, the other one, and adds in another one. I'm just so disappointed that everyday Canadian doesn't understand what's going on here. I don't know how else to help these people. I just had someone tell me that they were helping someone move because they had to move out of their house. It's too expensive, and they're moving into a camper. And during the move, the people were saying, oh, we're a family of liberals. We're lifelong liberals. Yet they're moving into a camper because life is too unaffordable. Still voting liberal, just voting for a miserable life while these guys get rich. Like some people, I don't know if they can be helped.
He's avoiding the question like he helped Brookfield avoid taxes. When he imposes higher taxes on Canadians, they have a right to know if this Prime Minister still has money in offshore tax havens. I'll give him one more chance. Will he stand up on his own 2 feet and tell Canadians exactly how much money he has stashed away in offshore tax havens? Just the number.
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of my record in the private sector, but I'm deeply honored to serve Canadians. And we're serving Canadians by building this great country, by investing in homes, by investing in energy, by investing in ports, by investing in our future. We are going to grow this country like not seen before. There is a chance for everyone in this House to stand up and support it.
The Prime Minister told Canadians that they need to sacrifice more to pay for the Liberals' inflationary deficit. But the Liberals sure aren't sacrificing much, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday, an Ottawa gossip rag feted the Liberals for attending a lavish deficit cocktail party hosted by rich Ottawa insiders, lobbyists and media firms who were thrilled with the billions of tax dollars for their wealthy clients and owners. Will the Liberals apologize for popping champagne corks with rich lobbyists to celebrate a massive inflationary deficit while Canadians can't even afford a case of beer?
Why are they partying with the media? That's a conflict of interest. This country is so corrupt, it's just unreal. Nobody wants to take this one. I showed that briefly in the previous video, but here's some photos from it. Partying with the media. Like, just waste of money.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Canada wants the investment that this budget affords all Canada needs, and we're going to stand in support of rural Canada, Mr. Speaker. And
This guy doesn't even know where he is.